All right, guys, it seems like we started a little bit earlier than I was expecting. You caught me off guard. Let's go into the main chat in here. So let me know if everything is sounding and playing out nicely and correctly. Uh, just 1 second. By the way, guys, I need to run really quickly. I want to start on time. Give me, guys, less than 2 minutes. I need to just make sure that I actually turn off my stuff. All right, so it's not gonna take long. I really promise you that I'm gonna go running and coming back down because we actually know a couple of trades and I actually bring things up in here so we can look into those. So hopefully you guys it actually went to and took those trades. But in the meantime, stay with me, start with Star soon, and be right back in a minute. All right, guys, thank you so much for giving me that 3 minutes, 2 minutes. I don't really remember how much it was. Yes, and yeah, I actually did turn it off, but things started kind of like smelling weird. For some reason, I just changed the soup out of the plate and well came back up here. Thank you guys so much for your patience and let's get started because this weekend was a lot of fun and a couple of trades that we were looking into they played out. We're gonna be trying to see what's gonna be coming up for this week, but be aware we may have a lot of volatility in the market tomorrow because I think we have some FOMC meetings. Nonetheless, this week might be a little vanilla depending on how the numbers come out. I think they're gonna be just as speculated, so not really good changes out there, nothing that really changed the market. Nonetheless, well, we're gonna try to seek for possible entries. So just in case we hit a couple of our alerts, we are going to be prepared. So, but let me get started with you guys first because you guys are the most important part of this show. So as always, Alexandra GG in the house. What is up, Alexandra? Always excited to see you. BC Port Corp in the house. What's up, Jesse Glue? What's up, bro? Giluk. And I know it's very late for you up there. So thank you so much for taking a little bit of your time staying in here. And Weak Wife, what is up? Welcome. We also have KTGT. What is up, bro? Welcome. Nice to have you here. Who else we got in the chat? I think that is it for now. Crypto Coin Mindset, what's up, my friend? Welcome. And that is it for right now. So let's get started because there's a couple of things that I want to go over. And by the way, also keep you updated into what happened with Turbo. So let's go to the charts. All right, let's get it first on OC Inception. Oh, by the way, remember that I told you that I always buy a lot of the same shirts? Look at that. I can actually tell you that. I already have used all of the sames that look like that one. And this one is new. Look at that. It has a little, itty bitty kind of like different thing. You see? Again, I'm not using the same one. Just wanted to make sure that you do that. Nah, just kidding. No, just kidding. Now I always use the same one, of course. Now let's go and take a look at here. We went over a couple of trade setups. In this one was Bitcoin. And Bitcoin, by the way, remember it did us a little dirty here. I was just whining about it. Remember that? And well, what happened? Well, then it didn't went, well, it was right here. It didn't went right to my entry. We were like that to take that trade and off we go. So what did we expect it here? We said, all right, right here, it is a good area for half a reversal. Perfect. So what is the point for the reversal, right? It's not about the breakout, it's about your retest. Here is our best possible entry. But remember last time how it played out. Remember that it went lower, did not took my entry, and then bursted to the upside. So it would have been a great opportunity to break or to take the BOS, the break of structure, right? So, hey, Drew, what's up? Drew in the house. How is it going, brother? Welcome, welcome. All right, so looking at this, well, then we said, all right, then if it doesn't retrace where we wanted to retrace, let's play or let's trade the break of structure, right? There's something important about the break of structure which actually can be playing against you, right? So if it's a break of structure which you don't know until later on, right, it will be giving you a good profit amount, right? But if it's not, that you can also know right after you already have entered into the damn thing, right? Well, then you will be buying the top. So how do we counteract that? Well, on the risk, what we do, we can change a couple of stuff, right? We can change position of entry or area of entry, which at this point we're trying to catch the break of structure. So that is our primary session, our primary point. So we cannot move that. The next thing that we can move, it is the amount of money that we jump in. So one full position, one half of a position, 1/3 of a position, 1/4 of a position, and finally we can change our stop loss. We can decide how much we're going to be risking and how much we're going to be losing out of what we risk. Perfect. So far we can combine those two out of the three that we can change, right? Remember, one, it is the position, right? The retracement or the breakout structure. This one, since we're trying to compensate, we have two possible positions, so we cannot move it. It's either retracement or breakout structure, right? And then we can change our stop loss and then our leverage, right? So basically how much money we can use and how big of a position next to your leverage. Remember, half of a position with X amount of leverage, all right? Having said that, let's take a look at how that played out. Let's see, where is it? Bitcoin. All right, Bitcoin, let's move it all the way in here. And then we're going to be passing over, you cannot see it, but I'm going to be passing over to the right once we are seeing things like that. All right, so far, let's bring up where we left out. All right, we left out in this one, next movement, retracement to the, oh man, come on, I want to call it purple, but it's not purple. Come on, it is orange, to the orange line. All right, so coming back down in here, right, our possible entry was right here, right, our orange, right, not purple line, all right, and then if we were going to be trading the break of structure, what was our break, or where was our break of structure? Was right here. We actually measure it. Where did we measure it? Right at the top. So what happens? As we broke the previous high, I waited for the candle close and then jumped in, guess what? All the way up. Perfect. How do we measure our targets? Well, then we go for as soon as we have any resistances, right? So we look for our resistances. Let me bring them up. So let me just turn mostly everything off. All right, let me zoom in here and let's go one by one. So far, oh, for some reason this is not playing out. Let me see if I can change it. Let's click OK. And I should be seeing here my market dynamics. Sorry, my market Oracle Pro here. Let's see, let's just give it a second. All right, should be maybe a little lower. Yes, it is lower. So nothing really up there. Oh, I see what's going on here. All right, perfect. Let me just get rid of this. For some reason, I do see a little bit of a... Look at where is my... Oh, I see. I changed it for the class. So that's what I need. And I'm looking at the 1 minute. That should be a chart. All right, that's why I was like, all right, a little bit out of orbit in here. So let's just give it a second for it to load. And that's why it was not loading. There we go. Now we can see it much cleaner. All right, perfect. So nothing in this layer, right? What is the next layer in here? Oh man, I'm just keep moving this around. Let's just get rid of that. So it stopped bothering, right? So nothing really in here. Usually I really want just to get to my predictive ranges. I'm just showing you that since we are in all-time highs, we cannot be pretending to have support or resistances out there, right? Because this is price discovery, right? So nonetheless, just to follow out that muscle memory, we're clicking every single one until we get something, which in this case, it's our premium zone. Our premium zone moves as we go to the upside, all right, which will be all right. So at this point, we still have one in here. We're getting a little bit of that volume. We start retracing. Perfect. That was our moment to pull out of that market. Also, here is what I was expecting to see, right? Our predictive ranges. Why? Because based on our predictive ranges, we are using predictive math, right? So we're not depending on past data, right? That show us what it's likely to be. Yes, it's using past data to create new data, right? That's why it's predictive. Just like, when you do calculations to buy lottery tickets, all right? So you use probabilistic math, right? So the same thing happens here. So we calculate probabilistic zones for resistances, and guess what? We got them. So basically, we had the purple one. Nonetheless, I did not took it profits in there. I took them right here as we were retracing and coming through this area right there. All right, I actually called it, guys, so taking 50% out in here, and then I mentioned in the morning market report, and here's another thing that I want you guys to notice. In the early morning market report, I looked into this candle. This candle was itty bitty tiny itty bitty, right? So I was all right. My stop loss was right down here, so I can still hold it. So I will be taking some profits, which I did, and then we'll just letting it run because I think we could be just having a little retracement and continuation upwards. All right, throughout the day, basically 30 minutes after the show, the candles start going low, and I start seeing the wick going back down and pushing down and pushing down. So what I did is just basically took a little bit more out of my entry here. All right, since I have new information. What is that new information? The speed of the candle developing to the downside. All right, that usually indicates me that it's not gonna be holding its ground. It's gonna be moving farther to the downside. All right, so if I know that, right, it's not that I know, but if I have the chances for that to play it out, why am I gonna keep a stop loss, right, that is gonna mitigate the gains that I had? So what I do, I move my stop loss to entry, and that's it. I already have taken profits, move my stop to entry, I have nothing to lose. All right, so give me, guys, 1 second here. Perfect, and I need to respond in here very quickly. Thank you for your patience. All right, and well then, at this point, it's moving downwards. So this is something that I like to see. Important in here, it is, let's take a look at the previous setup here. Well, I already have it in screen. All right, this one, it is it, right? I'm actually kind of regretting this one, but it seems to be that maybe I could be a little bit off. All right, so let me show you first what I was looking at, and now that I see it once again, all right, that's why I love the 4 hours, because I can see it once, I can see it twice, and still have the chance to say, you know what, I can still fine tune this, right? Or even macro tune it. Nonetheless, let's take a look at the possibilities right there. So what I'm looking for, it is that pattern of continuation. Usually when I'm going high, look at that, big move to the upside. I have the first hump, the second hump, and on that second hump, I create a triangle. That triangle usually breaks out, retests, off we go with strength, all right? So bear that in mind, keep that in mind. Look at how that plays out, right? It's not the only one. Look at that going up, right? Having the first hump in here, having the secondary hump in here, having the triangle, breakout, retest, off we go on that triangle, right? And it's not the only one. Let's go back to uptrending movements. Here we go. Like for example, in this one, once again, coming up, little hump, right? Secondary hump, triangle, breakout, retest, off we go with strength. All right, so this is a well-known pattern that usually Bitcoin plays out constantly, right? Once again, first hump, secondary hump, this one third one, but we still created that triangle pattern here, right? Breakout, not retest, but off we go. All right, so far, yeah, not a perfect scenario, but pretty damn accurate, isn't it? All right, so other than that, let me also take the chance to start removing. I don't really want to remove this because I think we still have the chance to come back down. So I really want to keep it as is, but let's just get rid of a couple of stuff. All right, so far, this is what I'm expecting. All right, we have some support and resistance. And so far, I have removed this support. Why? I don't know. Maybe I fat finger it. Let's see. Come on. Yeah, for some reason, I think I fat fingered this one. So we have a support and another support in here. So we have a channel. That channel in here, all right, give us a possible re-entry. There is a caveat, all right, before I move on. Remember that hump thing, right? So coming back up in here, right? Up, first hump, secondary hump, triangle, breakout, retest, off we go, right? But what if, and what if I'm wrong in here? And check this out. Usually we come from a big movement, right? So what if this is my actual movement? This is my first hump, and I'm looking things like that. I should be looking at things like that, right? First hump, secondary hump. Then I do the triangle, right? Breakout, retest. That will make much better results in here because that will actually complete the breakout retest in this area. I mean, heck, yeah, I mean, I could even not even go as low as that and keep somewhere around here and keep making lower highs, something like that, right? So, I mean, at the end of it all, we still have two areas of entry. Right here, the same area that we've been looking into in our trend line. When are we going to be jumping in? Well, we want to be first in one of those supports, right? So, hey, Califan, what's up, Califan? I also saw you today on the class with the Piper Academy. So thank you for joining right there. Drew, what's up, Drew? Welcome. All right, so far, what if I was wrong and we could be seeing this other movement, right? Let's try to experiment that. Let me just leave that as it was because I'm also going to be showing this in tomorrow's market, morning market report. But I also want to go and measure another one. For example, this one here, all right? So I want to make sure that I have kind of like the pattern drawn down so I can follow up. So movement, big hump, small hump, big hump, all right? Retracement, range, breakout, retest, off we go, all right? So perfect. It's not a 1-to-1 ratio, I know that, but it's just to help me understand the pattern that I could be looking into, all right? So once again, we use it for reference, all right? So what if this is my first hump right here, right? My retracement was shortened, right? My retracement was shortened, my first high was higher, therefore my next retracement will be here. Let me just Control C this because I'm losing stage. So I need to still have this downward movement before breakout retest, right? So a downward movement would mean that this high needs a lower high, all right? And this low needs to be somewhere around higher than this other low, right? Somewhere around there. And then maybe higher, right? And maybe higher like that one and smaller like this one. Oh, well, what if that... Oh, wait, this is wrong. Sorry, I'm just doing the same mistake. No, that's it. That's fine, isn't it? I mean, I'm telling you, that's what I'm using this. I see my mistake. All right, yeah, I was all right. So this is the secondary hump. All right, this one needs to be above this one. All right, perfect. Let's go for that resistance. This one needs to be below this one. It's too many lines for me, even for me. This one needs to be higher. This one needs to be lower, higher. That's it. So let's just shoot. What did I done? All right, let's just keep this right there. Let's bring this into a change of line. Let's do 1. Let's also do this one also as 1. Let's bring down the opacity here, and let's also bring down the opacity on this one there. So far we have 2 of those. In fact, well, let's just grab one of those and make it dashed. There we go. And make it, I don't know, another color instead of this one. Let's use orange. Yeah, much better. And this one, let's choose, yeah, green, whatever. So there we go. Our next entry is as the same, in between 118 and 131, right? So far so good. Maybe this is going to almost for certainly is going to take us out at entry at gains. So good in there. And what are we looking for? That support. All right, so once the price is at that support, so whatever is the support, right, somewhere around here. All right, and then I want to see that flip of the ribbon. So perfect. I think that one gets nailed down. Let's save this one and let's go back to the other ones that we were playing around. So in here, let's see if I can just update this one. Perfect, the break of structure that we were looking to, and then chain link. Let's take a look at our alert at chain link. All right, so before we move, remember that we did our Pursman Fibonacci box at a 50% retracement, where we also had our predictive golden line here for that retracement, right? Remember that one? So this is link. Let's find link. This is again link. And look at that. Where do we enter? Spectacular entry right there. Same area that we were looking into. There we go. Link, link. Money, winner, winner, chicken dinner. So hopefully you guys did enter on linked. It played out fantastically. Again, at this point, I am going to be moving my stop to entry. You already should have already been taking some profits in here. And well, this is not actually looking like it really wants to go down like that. Maybe we can be expecting a little bit of a dead cat bounce, but if I start losing this area, that's where I close my trade and leave it for the next re-entry in here. As long as Bitcoin is just steadily moving downwards, like nothing too aggressive, the rest of the altcoins like Link, Cardano, XRP, XLM could still be moving slightly right up. All right, if that makes sense. So JR, what's up, JR? Hopefully you have taken a couple of trades. We've been nailing it. By the way, great calls that you've been giving out there. Fantastic, bro. So guys, if you're not following JR, make sure that you join the Piper Academy, and he's on our Discord giving some fantastic, phenomenal, I need to say, entry points in there. So nice right there, JR. Thank you very much for that. All right, let's take a look at the next one in here. So link, boom shakalaka, we did it. Areas of retracement, we're gonna hold it. So far, if we start looking, or if we start losing, sorry, the 1543, we're gonna be taking some actions. But so far, that will be basically it. Just hold it where you have taken 50% out, move your stop to entry. That's it. Then, what else did we looked into? We looked into ADA. So let's take a look at ADA. There we go. This is ADA. And once again, where was our next entry for possible ADA? Remember, look at how precise that 50% retracement or that Pursman Fibonacci plays out. It's actually very, very accurate. So we have 2 alerts, one at the top, one at the bottom, and 2 at the bottom, just to try to catch a possible secondary overshoot in there, right? What happened? There we go. We clicked the first one right here. Fantastic entry. So we were expecting that flip of the ribbon. Well, that's the circle. The flip of the ribbon. The flip of the ribbon did not play it out exactly as I was expecting. It played out right here, right? Nonetheless, at the bottom, with the flip of the ribbon, your entry on previous big supports in here, right? We did not overshoot. Half of an entry right here, and then boom, shakalaka. Same thing like with Link, right? Look at that candle. That candle is not looking like it really wants to go down, right? I could be wrong and we could be reversing, but I believe that we could be having that dead cat bounce before we roll over. So we're gonna hold it unless we start losing some important support. Where's my important support? It is basically very close right there at 0.7245-ish. So far, once again, nice. I think this weekend, guys, if you don't take your wife out to dinner, I don't know what you're doing, because with that much gains, oh man, you better get her something nice. Right, honey? Yeah, she's giving me the look, maybe? No? All right, she's right next to me. All right, so let's take a look at what else we got in here. What else we visited on ADA, after ADA? We talked about Solana. All right, Solana was on the daily, still playing out as we were expecting. Remember, daily needs a little bit more follow-up as each candle can bring new information, or will bring new information. This is a daily on Solana. Remember, we were looking at a possible flat top triangle, all right, with a rising bottom here. So let's take a look at Solana. How is it playing out? Just so you know, I already have cleaned this up, because when I put it into the morning market report, this looked, I don't know why, so horrible. But I mean, on the video that looks nice, but when I looked it into the 4 hours, for some reason that was just like spaghetti. Not sure what went wrong right there. Nonetheless, we keep that flat top. We're moving, breakout, maybe retest. Let's go to the 4 hours. Some sort of double topping here, all right, and we're coming back down. So we can still hit the zero line, the dynamic reactor in here. And look at that, we have a peak seeker, we have a reversal, and we have a bearish divergence. I think we're gonna coming back in here, right, to grab some liquidity and then continue upwards. This is gonna be one of those ones that I need to wait for, right? Why? I just don't see it cleanly or clearly, and when I just don't see it, I don't really care. I don't bust my head trying to understand something that is not tradable for me, or at least that I know that I might not be that good at it, right? Therefore, I just wait and choose my battles. I try to be smart about this, right? And for me, it's about your breakout, retest, you retest, off you go. Right now, I'm in the middle with a double top. So right now, I'm shorting two stuff, by the way, and I keep those calls in the Piper Academy. So hopefully those are also be compensating the possible not short of Solana, but Solana letting it out, letting it do its thing, because remember, we did an analysis on daily. All right, so far, so good. Let's go and do the last one, XRP. XRP was also on daily. Let's take a look at what we talked about in here on the previous class. All right, XRP. Let me just scroll through this. And there we go. XRP was breaking through. We were measuring the exhaustion of that market to maybe calculate a retracement. Perfect. This is Solana. Let's go back to XRP. No, the data. Come on. This is XRP. All right, perfect. So we're speaking for about a possible reversal. We were waiting for it to flag out and then to take on that trade. So let's see how that played out. XRP. Oh, not this one. This one here. Perfect. What it played out, it did not went back down. What it did, it broke to the upside. All right. So far, I have not yet clicked or reached my target, but it's moving to the upside. What are we expecting? A comeback down and then maybe a continuation. We are very, 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 very toppy in here, guys. Be careful with XRP. Thus, be also careful with XLM. XLM, look at that candle size to the upside. So be very careful. In fact, you can see what I was explaining previously, that if we have that blow off top, when we have that maybe double that head and shoulders formation, we could be looking for a movement to the downside. And look at that, we already have a movement to the upside, break of the trend line. It's not about your breakout, it's about your retest. Right here, I still need a little bit more time just to see if it's gonna become a double top. Remember, pattern morphology, we talked about that, all right? Or breakout, retest my entry, and off we go. That's why my entry right now, it's offset. So this is gonna be the first setup of the night. right? So be careful out there, right? So far, Linked played out fantastically. We already talked about this. Let's take a look at Litecoin, by the way. Litecoin, we open up a short on the morning. We were expecting to go all the way down here. It is reversing on us. We already have one full candle, both in the green, candle and wick both in the green. So we should be having already our stop loss to entry, right? This is going to be one of those things that I believe that we are going to be making kind of, there we go, a triangle in here, right? That triangle most likely is going to end up being here, but maybe it's going to do that double, triple top and then come back down. If for some reason we start seeing taking up these highs, remember the break of structure. We're going to be doing the exact same thing that we did on Bitcoin, trade the break of structure, all right? So let's draw that in here. Oh, come on. OS. All right, so break of structure right there. So far, this short should not be, this is going to be a zero loss short, and we have another short open. If you follow along, you should be having an atom short, all right? So this atom short, also this one it is half of an entry. Thus, I'm going to be keeping it as is in case we go up to this area, right? Even if it's like very short, and then I'll be seeing what's going to happen. Why? Because I'm below the 0 line. Right now, I want to hold this because most likely we could be having a retest of we go to the downside and create maybe, oh, come on to move it, and create a dead cat bouncing here, right? So that dead cat bounce is the one that I'm actually seeking to enter my next possible entry, or the other half of that entry that I already have. All right, so be careful right there. Atom, you might be able to make another possible pre-entry on the short, but remember, wait for us to bounce up and reject. We want to reject off the 0 line for a further continuation. All right, so far so good on Atom. We're in profits. With Litecoin, we're in profits barely, but we still are in profits. We still have that time to move over stop to entry, right? The one that I'm just going to keep it as is, it's going to be Atom. So very nice right there. All right, so far we have covered all of the weekend, all right? Tomorrow we're going to have a lot of volatility. Let's just do a quick overview on the alerts that we have. Today I want to take the time just to prepare for tomorrow. And tomorrow, I think we could be a good day to take some profits. We might start moving tomorrow morning very fast, all right? So let's go over our setups in here. And let's take a look at Turbo. Oh, or by the way, Turbo, possible retracement to move to the upside. Our next possible entry, it is going to be at 0.0056. In fact, we had a very nice break of structure entry right there. So that's why we have our BOS. Remember, at our 33.33333 position retracement. So it played out fantastically, phenomenal, and there we go. Retracement right to the point or break of structure entry. Both of those played out. I'm quitting my job this winter and taking over the inner web. Sorry guys. Nice, awesome, love it, bro. All right, so let's take a look at what else in here. We have ADA FET. All right, FET, this was on the daily. FET, I think it has a big potential. We have a breakout of a trend line in here. All right, breakout of the trend line. This could be a fake out because we are below dynamic reactor, but what it gave me some hope is that we are above the 0 line. We're not out there with the prime score. We need to be at least 5, but my entry is going to be somewhere around 67, and then possible targets 83 and 99. All right, so we could be looking at, and let me measure this, at a 52% no leverage. So that's why I'm looking into FED, because it is low volume, right? And this low volume, I mean, if you're using a 10x, you could be doing 500% movement only, and only if it's played out. That's why we need a stop loss. Remember, in fact, we already have drawn, or I have drawn my plan B in here, right? Which we, instead of holding and bouncing up, holding, trying to bounce out, breaking the trend line, that's what we call out our trade right before we get stopped out, all right? And then our next entry is gonna be at 0.46. So actually, let's just place it in here, right? And then also place that one next entry right there. Perfect, we are ready to go. All right, what else we have in here? Polka dot played out very nicely here. There we go. It's been pushing upwards to the upside. So far, I think this could be a short. Let me clear this up. So what kind of short? This is the daily. Look at your dynamic reactor. Dynamic reactor is fairly thick. I think we might have just a little triangle here to push up and then reject. Maybe not that big of a deal, but in your 4 hours, that could be worth taking a look, all right? So far we have our first hump, secondary hump, possible double top, but it's not a double top just yet. So far what it looks, the same pattern that we are expecting on Bitcoin, right? So there we go, trend line to the upside to create a triangle. Maybe I can push it somewhere around here, and then maybe if everything plays out, something like that, right? So we have our first hump, secondary hump, little range, breakout, retest, off we go. So hopefully this play out as it is. I also have an alert at 210, a 0.210. Why? Because I believe that if for some reason we break out retest, we're going to be retesting at dynamic reactor. So we're going to be measuring the movement here. As you can see, I'm not aiming all the way up. I'm aiming somewhere around the median of that triangle. And that is because I want to not to take this long, but to wait what is going to be the next action. I might be trading the breakout in here, all right? So not really the insides. Jupiter actually played out better than I was expecting. I was expecting a little bit of a triangle right down here. Nonetheless, it is making a much bigger move like this, as we were, there we go, expecting. Not quite hit the target, but very nice target that we hit in there. Let me just clear this up. And finally, let's see where else could we be going to. I'm going to be drawing two trend lines in here. The first one, it's already drawn. And the second one is going to be right there, counting this as a possible reversal. If we have an engulfing candle here, this one could be a reversal. It's not set up just yet. We're on the indecision, and most likely we're gonna lose the zero line. So why am I looking for whatever is gonna happen if we're losing the zero line? Well, if we lose the zero line and then burst back up, we could be looking at something like this, all right? And what happens in here is that we have an overshoot and then a big movement. So if we can do that, we might not be able to hit dynamic reactor, but very close, and then have one last move to the upside. Based on that, look at where is our support, right? Based on what other thing, look at our liquidity zone, right? And we have a lot of disparity volume in here. So looking for Jupiter continuation to the upside after a move to the downside. So there we go. I'm gonna be just adding two alerts, and three alerts, two at the bottom, one at the top. All right, guys. So other than that, we have scanned most of the interest assets. Maybe we can just look into the crypto bubbles. All right. And of course, the thing that I'm not going to be trading, so don't ask for it. All right. Fantastic. Something that we could maybe be looking into tomorrow, not right now. I would say that we could be looking into Algo, H-bar, CRO. Guys, remember, I gave this news on the past Monday, and I don't know what's going on behind CRO, but remember, there was the blue chip ETF that is trying to become alive. Truth Social is pushing the blue chip ETF, which includes Ethereum, XRP, what else? What was it? Bitcoin, and CRO. The only one that doesn't really match with me is that CRO, and CRO has grown 33%. So something is going on there. So let's just leave it for now. I do want to go ahead and look into it, but I don't think I'm gonna trade it. Let's take a look at it, at that. In fact, I don't even know if my crypto.com account is still, but but I do have Bybit. I don't like OKX, so let's see, where else can I trade this? Yeah, I do have crypto.com. BitGet, I'm trying to get out of BitGet because it's asking me for KYC. Not good, not good. Maybe I already have done KYC on CRO, sorry, on crypto.com, so maybe I just buy it natively. So we'll see how that plays out. Hey, Lunar Beaches Crypto, what's up, bro? Welcome on dartboard. Throw darts, but once the dart doesn't hit, reverse psychology against the universe. Nice. All right, so let's take a look at CRO. Let's see how that is playing out. Or where is it? Come on, CRO, here it is. And I don't see crypto.com, so let's just choose the next one. BitGet, why not? CRO USD, not looking that bad, not looking that good actually. So I do have this trend line. We have another possible channel in here. I don't like too much this blow off top. We're breaking that trend line. We have a triple bearish divergence. We're still above the zero line, and our prems was very good. I mean, so what I could be expecting, maybe a retracement and then a like sweep of the lows and continuation. Let me see if I have anything else. Yes, I do. My first possible entry could be somewhere around here. My next possible entry and most dedicated one could be at that money flow POC. Long position somewhere around here, aiming to previous highs and stop loss at the previous resistance, sorry, next support, and give it a little bit of that wiggle room. So far I think that could be it. I'm still gonna update this on Monday. So far so good, guys. All right, so I think that will be it for today. I know it's a little bit of a short class, but let's just wait for the movements or the breakouts, right? Tomorrow morning, we might have some fast movers. So despite today might be a little slow, be patient. Take out your, what's up? Good evening, OC. Hey, what's up, Lunar Beaches? What's up, bro? So just keep your eyes in the alerts that we have set up, all right? Things might be a little slow, but then just pick up fast. So keep an eye on the alerts, especially Bitcoin alerts. Be careful with Bitcoin at this point, right? It is retracing. Look for maybe double tops, blowout tops, break of trend lines. I'm gonna keep an eye open for shorts. I know we set up for longs, but maybe the shorts might be the way to go. That doesn't mean that I'm gonna be shorting tomorrow, all right? But I want to see that structure being built up. So far, we might have the beginning of those. So other than that, guys, thank you so much for joining, and as always, see you guys tomorrow.